Live. What's up, everyone? Aaron Negler here, Cheesehead TV, coming to you live on, was it Thursday? Thursday night. Just saying what's up, people, with the news that Alvis Whitted is no longer going to be with the Green Bay Packers, the first-year wide receivers coach. ESPN reporting that Matt LaFleur has let him go and is in the throes of a search for a new wide receivers coach. It's an interesting move, given that it's not like Whit was given a ton to work with. I mean, I know I've been a proponent of lots of untapped potential there at the wide receiver group, but would think more than 1 year could have been given to a guy who was handed Devontae Adams and then a whole lot of late round draft picks and undrafted guys. But obviously there's a lot more to it than that. LaFleur is in those meetings every day, is at every practice. He knows what he wants from his coaches, and for whatever reason, Whitted's come up short. And obviously thought this was the time to make the move, go see what else he could find to go coach up whatever the wide receiver group looks like next year, which you have to think is going to be vastly different. And speaking of time, hey, finding time on our calendars for grocery shopping can be a struggle. Luckily, Festival Foods can help. With their click-and-go online grocery shopping service, you'll be able to turn your shopping list into an online order and pick it up later at their designated parking spots. Best of all, the $4.95 shopping fee is waived your first 3 click-and-go orders. Make more time for what matters and learn about Festival Foods Click and Go at festfoods.com/click. Look at all these fine folks in a chat on a Thursday night. What's going on, guys? Saul, thanks for the super chat. Do you think the D-line needs to be revamped? I don't think it needs to be revamped. It definitely needs to be reinforced a bit. I do think, and I said this yesterday, I think Kingsley Keke has kind of been the forgotten man by a lot of fans because he hasn't played a whole lot, and a bit by the coaching staff because he didn't see the field a whole lot. But I think there's a lot of talent there and a lot of promise, and I think he needs to get on the field a lot more next year. Now, does that solve their issues? No, I don't think so. But I do think he needs to start playing over Tyler Lancaster a whole heck of a lot more. But, Kenny Clark is in for an extension. He's a Pro Bowl player, should be an All-Pro soon. They paid Dean Lowry, so you can't see him moving on from Lowry too soon. But I don't think I don't think it's necessarily in need of a revamp, but you definitely need reinforcements. Who would you grab from the free agent linebacker position if that would ever happen? Chris, I've said on a couple of occasions, and I probably will repeat myself throughout the offseason, I don't think they're going to spend big money at inside linebacker. I think they'll look to draft one. Maybe they hit somebody up in the second wave of free agency. I don't know who that would be, but I think any of the big names that you see will most likely be signed in the first couple of days. And I'll be very surprised if Brian Gutekunst treads in those waters yet again this year, like he did last year. It's not to say it's impossible. Maybe Littleton from the Rams. He's the kind of player they probably would like to look at, but I think he's going to get paid big bucks, and I don't think that's going to happen in Green Bay. Jay, thanks for the super chat. Do we go after Greg Olsen? No. Look, I think Greg is a great player. He has been for a long time. He's clearly slowing down in the last end of his career. We all know the recent history with tight ends has not been great in Green Bay as far as free agents go. Obviously should have kept Jared Cook. But they brought Bennett in, and he was certainly washed that little bit of time he played in Green Bay. Jimmy Graham has been nothing but a disappointment. They've just drafted a young, exciting tight end in Jay Sternberger, who I am on record saying I think he's going to have a big breakout year next year. I'm fine augmenting that position with maybe a free agent via the draft, etc. I think Olsen's going to get probably a decent offer from someone, and I can't imagine the Packers trying to match whatever he might end up getting on the free agent market. And even then, I don't think I'm not going to say he's a shell of what he was or a shadow of his former self, but he's not the talent that I think most people think of when they think Greg Olsen, a really productive guy, has had a lot of good years in Carolina. Obviously, he's not that anymore. Played well against the Packers because every tight end plays well against the Packers. But, I think you started to see the certain, father time, undefeated, started showing up with Greg Olsen this year. And we always say it's better to get out a year early than a year late. And I think that's pretty much what the Panthers are doing by agreeing to allow Olsen to walk. Heck, why not Antonio Gates or Shannon Sharp? Now, FTS. He's got a little bit left in the tank. I'm not saying he's totally washed, but the type of thing you're saying there, yeah, it's like we've had plenty of old tight ends. Let's get a youth movement going here. Lance the Pants, that is very generous of you. Thank you for your super chat. I know we need to upgrade at skill positions, but appreciating what we have instead of stargazing at other weapons will lead to a happier season in 2020. Okay, yes, I agree that development is the way to go. Anybody who's watched this channel for any length of time knows that that's where I land, especially this season. But the offseason is team building time. And I will be very surprised if the wide receiver group does not look vastly different, not only from a talent standpoint, but obviously they'll be looking at a new coach. And I think everything kind of came up short of expectation this year. I don't think a lot of the potential was reached at wide receiver. Now, whether that's the players, whether that's Whitted, maybe his messaging, who knows? But for whatever reason, LaFleur has decided to move on. I think Gutekunst will provide them with a lot more talent there. And yeah, I mean, I generally agree with that statement. But much like outside linebacker last year, I think Gutekunst is going to attack this problem head on. And he'll most likely do it via the draft, but can't rule out a free agent. But I think the wide receiver group is going to look a lot different. That's why people were very surprised when I said I thought Geronimo Allison and Jake Kumerow will probably be gone next year. And look, I love them both. I thank them for their time as Green Bay Packers, but you're getting better or you're getting worse. And if the opportunity is there to get better at wide receiver, it certainly is, I think they'll take it. BJ Raji for wide receiver coach. Mason, I like it. What player not named Odell Beckham would you want the Packers to trade for? Ooh, Steven throwing out the high heat tonight. Oh, man. That's a good question. Not Odell Beckham. I don't know. Let me think about that. Come back to that. Do you think Gutekunst defending the Graham signing is just lip service? Surely he isn't going to be brought back. Well, Mark, I don't know. I mean, he defended it last year and brought him back, so who knows? I tend to think they'll move on, but who knows? Especially when you're talking about 12, prickliness, his relationship with Jimmy. That's, you look at the tape last year, I'm not talking this year, last year, and you think, oh, there's no way they bring him back. And then they bring him back. And Gutekunst talk about, if you really watch the tape. Yeah, if you really watch the tape, you see a really slow, past his prime tight end who can't block. And you paid that guy to come back. So all I can grab onto is that's 12's boy. Why else would you bring him back? And I tend to think that could play out again this year, even though I don't think it should. Just grasping at straws here, man. Andy, thanks for the super chat. Hey, Nags, how much per year is too much for Bulaga? That's a good question. I mean, he wants most likely to get one final big payday. And I think the other question is how many years, right? I mean, a 3-year deal for Brian Bulaga right now is probably too long. But that's probably what he's going to want, at least a 2-year deal. See, what was he hovering around 8 this year as far as cap hit? I think he's probably going to take up somebody on the market would gladly pay him 12. And I think that's too much for the Packers, just for all the other things they have to do salary cap wise. But, that's why maybe they finesse 10. I don't know. We'll see. Wonder who the new wide receiver coach is going to be. I think a lot of people are wondering that tonight, but I'm sure LaFleur will hear some reports soon of who they have in to interview. It'll be interesting to track, no doubt. William, thank you for the super chat. Nags, I always enjoy hearing your thoughts on here, along with Corey's on transplants. Hopefully 2020 is our year. Go Pack Go. William, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for supporting Cheesehead TV. And hey, guys, speaking of supporting Cheesehead TV, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hey, please consider giving us $5 a month on our Patreon, patreon.com/CheeseheadTV. Supports everything we do across the brand. Next, I think AR-12 is a prima donna. What do you think? Ricky, I don't actually think he's a prima donna. I think he's very particular. I think he's got a world of experience and he knows it. I think he's very smart. I think he is aloof, and I think that puts a lot of people off. But hey, I'm an asshole, and I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's just fine. And I think Aaron's reached the point where he knows exactly who he is, and he doesn't care if people on the outside, media, fans, whatever, have certain opinions about him. I don't think he cares. And I kind of admire that, to be honest. But no, I don't think he's a prima donna. I think he does want to win, and I think he is a team guy. I know there's a lot made, and I thought Spoon's column this morning at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel was spot on in regards to Rodgers needing to change how he plays the game. Essentially, really buying in a bit more to working from the pocket and not trying to get off schedule, etc. But look, it's easy for us to sit outside and say he needs to do this, he needs to do that. Lord knows I do that a lot. I couch all of that knowing that Rodgers has done it at such a high level for such a long time, such an insanely high standard, that's what he's used to, and that's who he is to himself, right? So he knows in his mind that he's done that all, and I think he acknowledges where he is as far as his career goes. He knows he's not that young 27-year-old anymore. He knows what his body's capable of and what it isn't. But everything he's done, he's still played at a pretty damn high level. Even with a quote-unquote disappointing 2019, he's still playing at a high level, higher than a lot of guys in the league. And I understand why he might be reticent to change, why he might still be entrenched in his old style of playing. But I think a big task for LaFleur this summer is to show Rodgers, break things down, and show him how working from the pocket, guys like Manning, Elway, all these guys who played well into their late 30s, early 40s, Breeze currently, guys really embraced that the scheme and didn't have to do everything off schedule, didn't have to break outside. Now, obviously, getting him some help at wide receiver, getting him a few more weapons will certainly aid in shepherding him into this final part of his career. That's a long answer to no, I don't think he's a prima donna. I think, like I said, he's prickly, he's moody, all those things. But I do think he genuinely cares about his team and winning another championship. And those aren't qualities of a prima donna. Chad, thank you for the super chat. Jordan Love at 30, if he's there, it's a possibility. I've seen him drop there in some mocks, but again, it's so early. It's so early. Let's see what team needs actually end up being, and a bit more of a realistic idea of how things might play out there in the first round. Keith, thank you for the super chat. Packers are in reloading mode, not rebuilding mode. For the most part, I agree. I think last year was very much a quick rebuild. Actually, the last 2 years, really. The big time overhaul on defense. I think this offseason you'll see a lot of the attention paid on the offensive side of the ball outside of inside linebacker. But I agree with that sentiment. Steven, thank you for the super chat. I can't believe I have to wait another year to see the Packers win the Super Bowl. Hey, man, Steven, let me tell you, buddy. How old are you? Judging by your avatar here, you're under the age of 40 is what I'm guessing. Son, let me tell you a few things. When the Packers won the Super Bowl in '96, it was like it hadn't happened in decades, right? So this idea that, you got to wait so long for another Super Bowl, man, enjoy the fact that you have a contending team. You have a team that was in the NFC Championship game, was 4 quarters away from the Super Bowl. They're back, man. We're on the precipice of another run. Yes. Does Gutekunst need to do some work to get him over the hump? 100%. No question about it. But, man, they're in a good spot. They're in a great spot right now. Appreciate it. That's all I'm asking. Dustin, thank you for the super chat. Does Corey need any, quote, extras to sit around drinking old fashions as he makes it for the instructional video? I don't know. I'll ask. I tend to doubt it. I think he's going to shoot it like one of our unboxing videos at LiveX. But we'll see. I will certainly ask. That's all I can do. What position will Gutekunst double up on this year? I think it's wide receiver. That's what I'm talking about. The overhaul at outside linebacker last year, that was via free agency. I think wide receiver this year, probably one free agent, one or two draft picks, maybe all draft, but I think you'll definitely see a bunch of wide receivers, new names in that group. Jesus of the apes. Chris Sims is an idiot. I think Chris is a lot smarter than people give him credit for. He knows what he's doing. I worked with Chris at Bleacher Report for a couple of years. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that. Do you think Tim Boyle is our future? No. Guys, I love Tim Boyle, and, God bless Andy Herman. I know this will break his heart, but, yeah, Tim's not a starting NFL quarterback. I really like him. Got a lot of tools, got a big arm. Not a starter. Hell, just hope we never have to see him as a backup in any meaningful way. Obviously, he's come in when they've been blowing people out. He's come in when they've been hopelessly behind. And I'd be interested to see how he would play in an actual, game situation that was in the balance. But, yeah, no, he's not the future. Chris Sims sounds like an idiot at least. Hey, man, keep going. Will Rashawn Gary get more snaps in year 2? Can I hope so? I understand keeping him on the bench in a year where he's developing / learning, which was a very big learning curve for him. Coming from Michigan, was being asked to do a lot of stuff he didn't do in college. And also you throw in the fact that he's behind literally the two most productive pass rushers in the league as a tandem. So, yeah, I understand why it might be tough to get him on the field, but the training wheels are off next year. He's got to get on the field. Has to be done. Got to come up with some kind of rotation. Andy, thank you for the super chat. Savage, year 1 thoughts. Really tailed off, I thought, as the year went on. Maybe that's due to the injury that he suffered in the middle of the year. I thought he looked promising early on. Yeah, I'm not going to say it was concerning. It was a bit disappointing there, probably the last month and a half. Maybe he hit the rookie wall coupled with the injury, etc. But I think the tools are there. I definitely still believe in the kid. I think he can be a really, really good safety in this league. Needs to take a big jump. Needs to take a big step in year 2, though. No doubt about it. If anything, given what I thought he would add to the defense, he probably underachieved just a little bit. But again, injuries are there. Played with a lot of different guys in and out of the lineup around him. So he's a rookie. But I think they definitely need more from him in year 2. No question about it. Will Holman get more opportunities next year? I hope so. Bandit Videos, that's a really good shout out because, we're talking about bringing back Tremont, and I do think that's the right move. But I think Kadar Holman could make things interesting. He showed a lot of good traits in man coverage in training camp. Didn't get a ton of opportunities during the year, but I like his potential. We'll see. How they go about putting things together at corner next year. But I really liked him last summer and interested to see what happens there next year. Got the Mark Beach book helping me through the offseason so far. Cheesehead TV on page 351. Dan, yes, it is. Corey and I both talked to Mark for, an hour or two just to help him flush out the Cheesehead TV stuff. And he's incredibly kind in that book about our place in the media pantheon. But besides all that, you should all check out The People's Team, the Mark Beach book that covers all 100 years of Green Bay Packers history. It's an amazing book. It really has some incredible stuff in it. Really great photographs, great writing, really well researched. It's phenomenal. And since Cliff Crystal seems to be taking his sweet old time doing his book, which was supposed to be out last year, or this past year anyway, the Mark Beach book is a good way to go. I'll take one or two more here. Gary's not a bad player, just a terrible pick. I mean, we'll see. Time will tell. It's way too early to say what kind of pick it was. But, we'll see. I mean, early returns would suggest that, yes, he wasn't very productive his first year. And you think, oh, boy, a little concerning maybe. But it's way too early to say it was a terrible pick. I'm ready for free agency. The suspense is killing me, Alex. I'm sorry to say, buddy, you got a little ways to wait. Hell, we even got to get to the combine yet. But, yeah, it's on the way. What's up, Negler? Do you see Gutekunst going for a wide receiver in free agency? Greens from Buenos Aires. What's up, Walt? Thanks for checking it out. Yeah, I think somebody like Robbie Anderson would make a lot of sense since they did try to trade for him. Maybe someone else, maybe not Anderson specifically, because I think Anderson probably will command a bit of decent coin on the free agent market. So maybe someone in the second wave. I think he'll look at every avenue possible because, I think given the fact that the wide receivers coach has been fired, I think they're going to look to add a whole lot to that room. New coach, new players, trying to get a lot more production out there. Viva Crystal. Yeah, I love me some Cliff. Could you see us drafting a running back high or signing a solid veteran? I'd be surprised at either one of those, Daniel. Not to say it could never happen. Maybe if someone falls to them. Don't forget Eddie Lacy. The Packers had a first-round grade on him, which is why they took him where they did in the second round, because they couldn't pass up the value. So if something like that happened, if there was like some running back they thought, they had an incredible grade on, dropped to them in the second round, maybe. I'd still be surprised, but you never know. I was surprised by the Lacy pick. So that said, yeah, no, at free agency, I'd be absolutely shocked if they signed somebody on the market. But can't dismiss it out of hand. Aaron Jones obviously is all world. We love him. He is entering the last year of his deal, as is Jamal Williams. So, and Dexter Williams couldn't even get on the field this year. So, yeah, I wouldn't completely rule it out, but I'd be surprised. All right, everybody, I'm going to have to jump. Thank you so much for joining me. 230 of you just hanging on here, chatting Packers. We really appreciate it. Hey, and remember, finding time on our calendars for grocery shopping can be a struggle. Luckily, Festival Foods can help. With their click-and-go online grocery shopping service, you'll be able to turn your shopping list into an online order and pick it up later at their designated parking spots. Best of all, the $4.95 shopping fee is waived your first 3 click-and-go orders. Make more time for what matters, like the Green Bay Packers, and learn about Festival Foods Click and Go at festfoods.com/click. And hey, hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, Green Bay Packers fans everywhere. Tell them all. Cheesehead TV, we're devoted to Packers fans worldwide. See you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.